Quarantine dream, this is kinda extreme. Wanna take one for the team, but I'm not sure what team I'm on. Hello and welcome to Corona Connections Worldwide, the podcast where I catch up with friends around the world to see how the pandemic experience is affecting them. My name is Angela Callender. I'm your host, and per my Zoom background, we are broadcasting today from just outside the Joy Theater on Canal Street, one of my favorite venues. It has a great little marquee in this picture that says, "We love you, Nola, stay safe and wash your hands, be back soon." Worth noting that I took the picture in March and it's now December and the Joy Theater is not in fact back. So just one of those eerie little reminders of how this turned into something that none of us were really expecting. Today we're going to Mexico to check in with a friend that I made on Instagram when I was visiting Mexico City in April 2019. We never got a chance to meet up IRL, but we've remained friends through the magic of social media, and I forgot to let him plug his work at the end of the show, so check him out at VictorZ_photo or just VictorZ photo. One is the black and white account and the other is the regular photography, and that's Z as in zebra. And as always, the plugs for the show's own social media: Corona Connects Pod on Instagram, the very neglected Twitter at Corona Connects Pod, and of course, rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend if you think anybody might enjoy listening to these shows. All right, let's go. Go ahead and introduce you. Today we have Victor joining from Mexico, and he's the one guest I've had on so far that I haven't actually met. Well, I guess there have been girlfriends and boyfriends that other guests have brought on, but I was actually kind of laughing to myself when I was thinking of how I would introduce you, because it's like, oh, I just went to Mexico by myself, and then someone messaged me on Instagram, and we almost went and took photos in Puebla together, but it didn't work out, and how that might sound kind of sketchy, but we have become what feels like real friends through being admirers of each other's work, and we chat every now and then on Instagram. And one day I hope I can return to Mexico and we can do some shoots together. But yes, Victor is in Mexico City, and we've been kind of in touch through this whole process. So, yeah, what's it like there now?
We have nowadays more than 100,000 cases. Not cases. There are people that already are dead, and maybe the number it's the double or the triple, and it's not strange. It's not only in Mexico that this kind of things happened. I think that in around the world they suffered the same problem, that the numbers are not the real ones.
Yeah, I agree. I think, in fact, the first interview that I had was with a friend in El Salvador, and that was back in September, and he was saying that a lot of the deaths that might be they should be considered COVID deaths are instead called rare pneumonia. And I had actually I think that same day or a day before heard that a similar story from Mexico, that a lot of healthcare workers were being marked that they came down with rare pneumonia, instead of maybe it should have been considered a COVID death. And I feel like here we have people who kind of claim the opposite problem. Like they think that our death rate is maybe inflated, that people are being said to have died from COVID when oh, they're just old and they would have died anyway, or whatever. And it's like, but if they still got COVID and that's what made them die, yeah, then it sounds like that's a COVID death. So it's always been a little interesting to me that there's kind of both sides of the skepticism. Some people think the death rate is too high, and some people think that it's too low. But you've had the opportunity also with your work to travel to different parts of Mexico. That's correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I travel so many places. There are not cities, there are country land, and the people live in a different way that we are living in the cities, because the people doesn't feel that there are a risk. The people live their lives without using masks and things like that. But also there are little or tiny communities with maybe 1,000 inhabitants, and there are very far on a country land to
It's like isolated.
yeah, and on the mountains and things like that. And w- when we went to there, we felt a big responsibility to not be the people who transmit
Right.
the
The ones who contaminate the area.
yeah. We are the foreigners in a beautiful land.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about the kind of work you do? Like, why are you traveling to these different communities?
Yeah, we were searching and making photo and video related with the form that the people use their land in a eco-friendly situation. And Mexico, it's very different. Maybe we can have three countries in the same country, because the north, it's so different, the people are different. In the south, the people are also different, but the land are different. The quality of the land, in the south, there are so many mountains, and the land is not very rich, because the land is like this.
Mm-hmm. So people can't
And
grow food there. It's bad for
yeah,
agriculture.
it's a poor land for food.
Mm-hmm.
And like in Tabasco, it's like a jungle. It's amazing, and everything it's green. It's green over green. It's amazing, and also Veracruz. But for example, I'm very impressed with the trees, these giant trees that you have, the sequoias.
Mm-hmm.
But that kind of trees grow because you have in this part of the United States land like this. It's like a big chocolate pie. It's amazing. And if you go in Mexico to the Bajío, to the Pacific, Jalisco, Colima, Sinaloa, that they have a very rich land. It's very different.
And so that's what you do with your work. You go and you make films about the different type of agriculture that.
Yeah, and the ecological practices that they can introduce to their farms and things like that, and also with the cows and milk and things like that. Yeah, it's very interesting, and it was amazing to have this kind of opportunity in those days that we are in our
Mm-hmm.
houses alone.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. To be able to travel around and still see different areas. How many people are usually on your team when you travel?
It's a tiny team, maybe in some cases that we can use the highway.
Mm-hmm.
We are like five, and for other places that are so far, like Chiapas, we are like three or four, and we rent a car and we go to the communities. But we are a tiny team, because about the COVID, we don't want to be more.
Yeah. And with your team, do you wear masks together or do you consider yourselves
All the time.
quarantining?
Believe
Yeah.
me, it's very difficult. I think not only in Mexico, it's very difficult around the world that the people to use in a proper way the mask,
Mm-hmm.
because many people use the mask like this or
Yeah.
like this or like this, and I feel I have during this time several problems with the team, because
Oh.
sometimes the people feel so stressed to have to have to use the mask, to wear the mask so many hours in the highway.
Mm. Oh,
It's
true.
difficult. It's difficult. And about the weather, for example, in Tabasco is hot, and if you use a mask, you feel like, oh, it's hard. But I think that the mask is a thing that we have to protect
Absolutely.
each other.
Yeah,
Yeah, but
it's
it's
really
hard.
not
It's
that.
hard.
Yeah, yeah, it's hard, and at the same time, it's not that hard. Like it's different, and it's hard to get used to. But I think what you're saying is it's actually a very simple thing that we can do to make a big impact. Um, I've
Yeah.
I've talked on the podcast a couple times that I'm working on a TV show, um, and it's a big team, and we have to wear the masks all the time, and we have to wear the face shields, and for the most part everybody just understands that it sucks, but it's the rule. We're glad to be back at work, and if this is what we have to do to be back at work, then we can do it. When you travel with this team to these areas that have different attitudes toward COVID-19, do the people in Tabasco or Chiapas, do they look at you very strangely, like, what are you doing here with these masks on? Do they act like you're maybe overreacting?
No, because we start this work maybe in June, and several months passed, and the people since June to November, that was the last call that we have, the people change a lot their mindset because the numbers just grow around the country. But nowadays, it's very strange because we are in Mexico. We have something that is called El Buen Fin. That in this case, in this year, were 15 days, 2 weeks with a Black Friday season.
You're saying that your equivalent of Black Friday is this Buen Fin?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
okay, okay, got it.
and for this year we have 15 days for sales, and everything changed in this past month because all the people fill the streets and fill the malls and things like that, and now it's the same case, and I think it's related about the economy because we have a many problem as many countries around the world about economy, and I bet that on January we are locked down because the situation can be so far. We are growing every day with 1,000 cases per day and things like that, and it's so much.
Yeah. Um, was so your those 15 days of shopping, that was in November?
Yeah.
And what is it like in Mexico City? Is there a mask mandate? Are there like capacity limits for restaurants or for bars? Or what things are open or closed?
Yes, but for example, there are like markets or places, and in Mexico City is one of the biggest cities around the world,
Mm-hmm.
and we have in Mexico City many different cities. There are very poor places. There are very rich places, like when people that are living like in Dubai with supercars and things like that. And yeah, it's very different. And the mask is not an obligation. That we don't have like bills or things like that if you
Mm-hmm.
are not using, but the people, I think that like the 90% of the people are
Mm-hmm.
using mask not properly because there are many people that are using the mask like this, but it's amazing how many people use the mask with the nose
I know.
yeah it's for example, you go on a coffee shop or something like that, and when you see that, you don't want to have a coffee or something like that. I
Yeah.
feel like this because I'm really I'm not trying to to go to the streets for something like restaurants or things like that. I prefer not. But there are many people that are going to bars and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And in some areas, the rich ones, we can see the photos on media on the internet that the restaurants are full of people. And on some areas like where the people are, the density of the people are less, like areas that you already know, like Roma, Condesa, Cuauhtemoc, Narvarte, that is the place that I live. The people, I think it's more responsible. But there are many places, the popular ones, that they have this kind of parties like quinceañeras. Maybe
Mm.
you are
Yeah. The
when the
15th birthday party, if they.
yeah.
Yeah.
In Latin America, the 15 parties, it's insane, the quantity of people
Yeah.
that come, and the quantity of money that the people spend
Mm-hmm.
in that kind of reason. But today is 13. Yesterday was Dia de Guadalupe, the 12th of December of
Mm-hmm.
every year. They are the day of the La Guadalupana, the
Mm-hmm.
Guadalupe Virgin. And this year was completely different because in for this celebration, many people come to Mexico City for different parts of the country, and every year they receive in La Basilica de Guadalupe, that is a place that everything happened. They receive every year 10 million of people,
Wow.
and this year that doesn't happen. And may,
That's good
we
to
feel
hear,
that
honestly.
yeah. They the government put signals in the highways, and the points that you can enter to the city, to advertise the people that this place are closed. And
Mm. It's really interesting to like. I guess I'm still just a little confused by the 15 days of sales. The like, what did you call it? The grand fin, buen fin.
buen fin, yeah.
Because it's like you're saying that people are like mostly pretty responsible with their masks, and the big church is even closed for this important holiday, and it's so strange to me that like both the government and the shops and the people would all be like, okay, well, for shopping we're gonna forget all of these things that we seem to ordinarily practice, and to have it go
Yeah.
for, well, does it normally go 15 days, or was maybe having it over a
No,
longer period of time intended, they thought people would maybe come gradually and maybe it wouldn't be so busy.
no. They decide to that in this year we're gonna have these 15 days. Normally, I think it's 1 week,
Mm-hmm.
but for this year they decide to have 15 days for have more quantity and more opportunity to sales. That was the reason. And it's the mix that we were talking about, that in some areas, for example, me,
Mm-hmm.
I didn't go to any market or any mall. For example, I buy some equipment or things like that, but I bought online.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that many people in some areas decide to 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 buy online, but in some popular areas the people go.
Yeah.
And these kind of things are, I think, are very usual around the world.
Yeah.
For example, we can see in Mexico this kind of thing. The Buen Fin maybe have like 10 years or something like that. But when I was a child, we can see the images on that the things that happen in the United States about the Black
On
Friday
Black
season,
Friday, yeah.
and all the people running and the people fighting and things like that. And
yeah, no, Black
yeah.
Friday is like a point of embarrassment anyway, the way that people act on Black Friday. But yeah, I guess people do, they change their behavior and make exceptions. And I also wanted to ask about the quinceañeras. Is there, you said there's no mask mandate, but is there any type of law or rule about sizes of gatherings? Like how many people can come together all at one time?
I think that everything happened as a result of the responsibility that each one had. And for example, there are cases for people that have their wedding, and there are very very rich people that have their wedding, and they have like the 50% of cases of COVID as a result of that wedding, because they don't respect any law. But there are the people in the middle that they decide to have they have money. They are not rich, but they have money, and they decide to have a wedding with 50 people in an open area and using masks, and as a result they don't have any cases.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we missed that maybe COVID is an opportunity. It's not only a problem. It's an opportunity to feel and to be like a community, like people that live in a community, and we can protect each other, and we can use the time that we are locked down, thinking about how the things happen around the world, how the humankind impact the land, impact the world, impact the earth, impact everything about ecological topics and things like that. And I think that it's an opportunity, but the sad thing is that only less people think like that.
Yeah, that's true. Maybe more than we think, but it's hard. Like I
Yeah,
don't know if enough people are not acting the right way, it sort of doesn't matter how many people are acting the right way. Like now that the
yeah.
vaccine is coming out, and that's definitely something I wanted to get to with you. What any like hopes or thoughts are about the vaccine, but I've been reluctant to even get that excited about it because it's for me personally, it will take so long before I'm even given the opportunity to have it. And I think there are understandable concerns about it, like keeping it so cold, or will people get both doses, or maybe it happened, it came together so quickly. Is there something wrong with it that just hasn't been determined yet? But one of the greatest concerns is just like, will enough people even take it? And in the United States, there's a large amount of people who are too skeptical and say that they don't want it. And again, part of me understands those concerns. And then part of me is just like, well, then what's the, like, if we're not going to get enough people vaccinated, then it's not going to do its job. So it's like, yeah, hard to get too excited about things. But what is happening with the vaccine in Mexico? Do you know?
Um, it's like a promise that of the government that they did a very good work about to have a lot of deals with the different laboratories
Mm-hmm.
that were developing the vaccine, and there the government signed many contracts, and um, the government said that Mexico have the same opportunity
What is
nowadays.
what is that noise in the background?
It's the people that are asking for the furniture and things that you don't use and you want to they buy everything. It's
Okay.
lavadoras, refrigeradores, and things like that.
Gotcha.
And they pass with a pickup, and they
Uh-huh.
have this
A big
this
speaker.
audio. Yeah, big speaker, and it's a record, and it's you can hear this kind of things in all the neighborhoods around the
Oh.
city. Yeah,
For
it's
us,
a
it's
normal
just
thing.
the jazz bands that go by the street.
Yeah. For example, I prefer jazz, but we have these kind of things, and it's amazing also.
There was a big gathering. I got off work on Friday and came home around 6:30. And there's a really cool little bar slash music venue on the block next to mine. It's historic. It's been there a long time. It's very cool, but there are always like way too many people outside that place. Like it's just my like friendly neighborhood super spreader events. And like when I walk the dog, I'm so torn because like the music's really good, and I'm like, yeah, but then I'm also like, no, there's way too many of you out here. But they did a full on little parade with the brass band afterward, and like I could hear it from my apartment, and stuck my head outside, and there they went down the street. And yeah, just those kind of things that you're like, oh, well, I hope they're all wearing masks at least, and I kind of wish they weren't doing it, but at the same time, like I love to watch the little parade.
Yeah.
But sorry, I was distracted because there was the noise in the background, so I wanted to pause your story anyway, and then I told my
No,
own
don't
story.
worry. Well, don't worry.
But what were you saying? If we can go back to that topic.
Yeah, of course. I suppose that and the government said that we have the same opportunity nowadays about the contracts that they are signed, that we are the same opportunity to have at the same time of the rich countries the vaccine, and that sounds really good. And they present like a plan
Like the distribution.
for the distribution, yeah, and right. First, the people related with the medical institutions, and also the army, because the army are the ones that are gonna be in the distribution things.
Yeah.
And then people that are old, and then the next age, and
Right.
and maybe at the end of the year, people like me, and centennials and millennials, maybe on January of 2022.
Got it. Yeah.
But it's I think, yeah, it sounds really cool. But I think that the next year is gonna be
Still not
very
that great.
similar of this year, because we are gonna be using mask and have this kind of distanciamiento social,
The social distance.
social distance.
Yeah.
And they are not very different in this case, because the distribution it's hard, and it's gonna be difficult, and it's gonna take a long time, and we don't have how many problems some kind of vaccines gonna have. For example, for Mexico, for the infrastructure that we have, vaccines like Pfizer that needs to
cold.
be cooler and things like that. It's so hard to have the infrastructure for that.
Yeah.
But it sounds great.
And what about like the attitude of the people? Do you think that you have a problem in Mexico like we sort of have here, where people are very distrustful and maybe don't want the vaccine? And I'm sure there are some people that feel that way, but do you feel like it's a big problem there? Like I sort of think it's a big problem here.
Yeah, we have, as a result of the rest of the world, that the active anti-vaccine groups and
You're
the
like,
people
it's not
that
our fault.
no, I don't know. No, I'm joking.
No.
No, I think it's not the fault of any country. It's as a result of the
The
kind
internet.
of information that we have nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because we have too much information, but the quality of the information is not the best, and the
Yeah.
people are not, in some cases, are not very doesn't have the knowledge to have the understanding about the things that they are reading or they are watching. And yeah, but
Uh-huh.
in this year, I think that the people that think that the vaccines are bad or that everything is fault of the Bill Gates fault or things like that, or the people that think that the Earth is flat, think, well,
5G. They think
yeah,
that
yeah,
the
yeah, 5G and things like that. And yeah, but I think that in Mexico is not a big one of the
Mm,
population that thinks on that way. Uh, there are
yeah.
some people that is anti-vaccine. Before the COVID, we have some cases like in the United States or New York that they have cases of sarampion or things like that.
So I didn't know this word. He's saying sarampion, which means measles in Spanish.
Because there were groups of, I read that people that are ultra orthodox
Orthodox.
Jews, yeah, that they
Mm-hmm.
don't want to have the vaccine for
Mm-hmm.
sarampion and things like that. And there were diseases that were controlled so many years, and the people um decide to doesn't use anymore the vaccine, and we have
Mm-hmm.
the same problems like you. I think like COVID is like a George R. Romero movie and zombies or horror movie, because the interesting thing is to see the ideas and the decisions that the people have in this kind of cases that are strange, and that we are on the limit of many things, and the people decide the strange things. And for example, we have a different one government nowadays, and many people, we talk that we are going to have a left government or something like that. In the time, we can discover that our president is not very lefty. It's more righty, because they are very
Nice.
he's very conservador.
Conservative.
Yeah, a lot, and it's very related with the Catholicism. And
Oh.
whoa, it's amazing, because as a Trump, he don't want to wear the mask and things like that, and it's very hard because he, as a president, as as a man that every day appears in media, he's sending a message
Mm-hmm.
for many people that also doesn't want to wear the mask, and it's a problem for
You're
us. It's
saying
a
your
problem for everybody.
president your president is doing it the same way that Trump was doing it by not
Yeah,
wearing the
yeah, yeah.
mask.
In a less way, because Trump is a special case, but
He's not
yeah,
tweeting about it every day, at least.
not tweeting, but I don't know if you know, in Mexico City, from Monday to Friday, we have every day the president appears on media as
Like a press
an everyday
conference?
conference. Yeah, a
Okay.
press conference every morning from like 7 to 9 a.m. We
Okay.
have from Monday to Friday everyday conference.
Oh.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It's like to have a Fidel Castro conference every day for 2 hours or something like that. It's
Like
it's really really really
Like fireside chats, like Roosevelt used to have here.
Yeah, and we don't need it. The president also write Twitter message because
Right.
we have this everyday conference,
Okay.
and in this everyday conference, we don't he don't want to wear the mask. And, well, yeah.
Has there been any, I guess, disagreement between like the local governments and the president over rules or over the approaches?
Yeah. They have a lot of problems. There are. There used to be just one government's group, and nowadays we have maybe two or three groups. Two. The governments are not that are not no están de acuerdo con el presidente,
He was saying the groups that are not in agreement with the president.
and the others that are. And the some of the estados ricos del país,
That was the rich states of the country.
like Jalisco and Nuevo León, there are not anymore with in the same group of the president, and they're related about the rules, about the impact to this kind of rules on the economy of these estados, of these states, and yeah, we have problems in that kind of
Yeah.
things.
And regarding the economy, so I wasn't sure if I heard you correctly before. Did you say you had a job in June and then you didn't have another job until November, or like how was your work?
No. I start the documentation of the land since June to November.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
And you're just saying you've noticed a difference over that time frame of people's attitudes. Got it.
Yeah.
So, did you lose work at all during this time? Like from March till June, did you have to stop working, or?
No, June. June was maybe the worst month for me. On December, for example, this month, it's really calm, but it's normal for me. In December, January, February are everything are
slows down.
Slow down. But for me, it was a great year because I have a lot of work. But I think it's related that we work with a big one companies and things like that. And for example, I work sometimes with for Amazon, and Amazon just grow up this like 1,000% or something like that.
Yeah.
In Mexico, I went I think was in 2019 to the opening of the biggest hub in Latin America.
Oh wow!
That Amazon hub. Yeah, and nowadays they have like 3 hubs very near to Mexico City, and I think I have too much work related of that, but for many friends that are actors, dancers, journalists, or people that work on weddings and things like that, they was the worst year of their years of their lives. I don't know.
And what kind of assistance did they get from the government, if any? None.
None. Anything related about rent or something like that? We don't have any assistance.
Wow. Like, are there protests against that? Like, it seems like that would be. I mean,
Not much.
we haven't had
Not
great
much.
assistance. We at first we did. At first we had a very
Yeah, yeah,
good
I know.
program. So I had nothing to complain about then. But it's slowly crumbled. And even with what we had, people here have been unhappy and kind of lashing out and protesting. So, like, what has the response from the people been for that lack of assistance?
Only the banks
Mm-hmm.
decide at the beginning of the situation to extend the limit of the payments for the people that have the credits and things like that, and they give the people like gave the people maybe like 5 or 4 months without payments.
Mm-hmm.
But nowadays everything went normal again. And another thing that is very strange for this new government that we have on December 1st, 2 years with this new government,
Okay.
were that they just closed, they decide to destroy the many funds. There are funds that are related with the cinema industry, with the culture, with museums, with many things related with arts and culture, and they just destroy these funds. And I think that the people doesn't decide to or didn't decide to have any movement, protest, and things like that, because for this year we are living with the forecast for the last year, the 2019. But we are gonna know the truth in the next year, in
Mm-hmm.
2021. We are gonna see the real impact for this crisis,
Mm-hmm.
because we are not gonna have any forecast, any money for culture, for many things. And I think that the people are gonna be angry in
Yeah, I
different.
mean, if people
Yeah,
have been out of work since March or April with no assistance, like, most people don't have that kind of money just saved up to be able to get by. It seems like people must really be struggling in a lot of cases.
yeah. Mexico and maybe Latin America, it's very different in the in the relationship that we have with our families. And many people, like that is uh, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, they can't pay the rent, and they just went back with their parents. And
Mm-hmm.
it's and I don't know, and maybe in Latin America it's so common. For me it's not common, but for many people is very common, and it's easy. Many people that we know each other are living with their parents, something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's
It happens. I mean,
yeah,
it became a little bit of a meme in the United States even before coronavirus, just with, like, I mean, so few people can afford to actually buy a house these days, and rent gets so expensive, and the value of your degree, maybe you have a lot of student debt and stuff, like, people moving in with their parents in their 30s or whatever became kind of a, like, well, this is what happens when things look this way.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
I'm sure with
yeah,
the virus, although people also are sometimes nervous to be around their parents if their parents are maybe older, because they don't
yeah,
want
yeah, of
to.
course.
Do your parents live in Mexico City as well, or do they live somewhere else?
No, no, no. My parents all live in Mexico City. Yeah, very, very close to me. Um, in
Are you
the
able
in
to see
the
them, or do you try to stay
Yeah,
distanced?
yeah, yeah. I see them maybe once a week, but since everything starts,
Mm-hmm.
I don't I don't touch them,
Mm,
never, and
mm.
I always use a mask.
Yeah.
because, for example, they have their own lives, and
Yeah.
if they decide to go to the cinema, so, um,
Yeah. So so
is
you're
there is
maybe more
there
scared of your parents than they are of you.
yeah, of course, but I don't want to be the responsible one to,
Yeah, of course. Of
because
course.
I took a lot of flights. I'm be with people working, and I have to travel,
Mm-hmm.
but I always use a mask, and
Mm-hmm.
I don't touch them.
Got
And
it.
that's so sad, but
No, no, but you're
that's the way that the things are now.
it's better to keep them alive. So, yeah, I'll be going home for Christmas. I'm being very careful, and I'm tested a lot at work. So, I feel pretty confident that I'll be safe, and I'll. It's like a 15 or 16-hour drive, but I'll just do it in one day. So I won't have to like stay at a motel or anything. And they're also basically quarantining for this time. So I feel a little bit hypocritical because I was like very strongly opposed to like don't travel for Thanksgiving and more specifically don't like attend a huge family gathering with many households coming together at once. So a little less hypocritical in that sense, but yeah, it's important to me to see my family. They all live pretty
Of
close to
course.
each other, and I'm all the way out here, and I have a baby nephew who's been getting older, and that I'm kind of missing that part. So just gonna be as careful as possible and get that family time because it's important. There was something specific to Mexico that I had heard that I've been eager to talk to you about, which was the way that you're doing at least like your elementary school, which is that it's on TV because you have like national syndication of maybe the same station you're talking about this presidential address or whatever. But I had heard about that months ago, and I've been curious about this way of doing schooling and if you know anything about how effective it is or how
Yeah,
popular
yeah,
it
yeah.
is.
I think that COVID just presents in a raw way the the conditions of many people. If you have money, you don't have any problem. But uh, they present the opportunity to the children go to this kind of virtual classes, virtual school, and they can use TV, open TV, open signal TV, and also internet for for the homeworks and exams and things like that. But for example, if you are the children or the son of a family that they both parents have to work, I think it's very difficult because the parents are the ones that have to send the mails for the with the homeworks and things like that, and the people doesn't have time. And one of the problems to live in a giant city is that for go to your house to the work, the people need a lot of time. Maybe some people need like 2 hours, 1 hour, 2 hours and a half, and they have to use the the public transportation. And in some areas, for example, on Friday night, you can see the photos of these subway stations, and it's amazing. It's like a zombie apocalypse because there are not social distance.
Yeah,
It's not possible,
yeah,
and there are many people that need to go out to work because if not, we the
yeah.
people said we prefer to die about COVID that died for hungry.
Yeah.
You can see this kind of tiny cartons.
Posters.
Posters. Yeah, because in Spanish, cartel is not only the drug, the things. Cartel is also a poster. Yeah, yeah, and
everything's a
you can see
cartel
this.
in Mexico. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, no. But you can see these tiny posters that the people put in their locals, and we can stop. We can stop.
Yeah.
We can stop working. We are not rich. We need to work every day,
Right.
and it's very difficult because also in some areas that in the little country land that we were, it's on the top of the sierra, and it's very difficult. And you need a pickup, and you need a 4x4 pickup,
4x4,
things like that, 4x4 pickup, and things like that. And the schools are closed.
Yeah.
And you can see these indigenous children that normally it's very difficult that these kind of children go to the school, and now the school is closed. They don't have.
Oh, one second. I'm laughing editing this part because when I get up to answer the door, you can completely see that I'm wearing only boxers along with the perfectly normal shirt that I'm wearing. So a pretty fitting moment in a podcast dedicated to the weird things happening in 2020. Sorry.
Yeah.
So you're saying you were talking about the indigenous students who it's hard for them to.
Yeah. The difficult in all the country, it's very different kind of people, and in the city, maybe the people have the problem that they don't have so much time to give to their children, to their homework and things like that. But on the country land, they don't have TV, they don't have internet, they don't have computers, and you can see these children helping their parents in the land, and there are nothing to do in these kind of cases. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
It's very difficult.
Well, I thought it was just an interesting and potentially great alternative, because maybe if you don't have internet to do online learning, then maybe having the wide access to the TV. But then I was also but how do you teach different age groups on the TV channel? Is it just 1 hour will be for the 7-year-olds and 1 hour will be for the 13-year-olds? And then speaking of the indigenous children, I heard that, well, of course the program is only in Spanish and not everybody attends school in Spanish in Mexico. So there were these kinds of issues.
I think that for education, for basic education maybe, and maybe the next level, for the basic ones, I think maybe for the people that doesn't have the enough money to change this kind of situation, I think it's un año perdido for these kind of people.
Yeah, a lost year.
A lost year, yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Cool. That was something that I had been interested in and made a point. I'm when I finally do speak with Victor, I'll ask him about the TV school. Do you have any final thoughts, or did you have any questions for me, or any last stories that you wanted to share before we end?
About the army. The army is nowadays responsible of many things. For example, they are in the construction of the new airport of Mexico City, and it's very near to the city. But we need another one because the old it's so tiny nowadays.
And you did such a great marketing campaign. Everybody wants to go to Mexico City suddenly. I can feel like it's the most common destination.
Yeah. I think that the United States people are number one of foreigners that right now are in
We're
Mexico,
number
in all the
one.
country. Yeah. It's good. It's good because we can meet interesting people, and it's also a little bit strange. I think that the different thing is like when Mexican go to for living in for to United States or to Europe or to another country, we're immigrants, but when North Americans or when some of Europeans on some they are not immigrants, they are expats.
That's a really interesting point. There's a whole the semantics around the different words.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that the people never think about it, but it's very very interesting
Yeah.
because yeah, it's and I have a several expats friends, and
It's some
I really
immigrant
appreciate
friends.
them. Yeah, but they always said I'm not an immigrant. I'm an expat, and it's very very interesting.
Ooh,
Yeah.
you've got me thinking now.
It's very interesting. We can talk about these topics some year because I think it's related with topics like this really nice documentary, the I'm Not Your Negro and things like that
Mm,
about
mm.
the the, the white supremacism and
Yeah,
things like that,
yeah.
and. Uh, I have to be clear. I'm not saying that other people that think that they are expats are racist or things like that. They are not. But it's very interesting that there are different kind of immigrants. There are the first class and there are the third class of immigrants,
Yeah,
and
no, it's a
these kind of
great
things
point.
happen around the world.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
interesting.
But I
Yeah.
managed to distract you from your story about the army. You were talking about
Yeah.
the.
The army are gonna be the ones that are gonna distribute, make the distribution of the vaccine, because the army are the responsibles of many things, like the construction of the new airport and the homeland security and things like that, and they're related about cartels and the big one problem of corruption that we have during the past 30 years in the country,
Mm-hmm.
that the civil security are involved with all the cartels and all the things like that, and that's the reason why army are having more and more and more and more power during these last maybe 10 years, and it's very 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 interesting. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know if someday it's going to be a risk for the civils, for us, but in this government that we sometimes thought that we have a like a lefty government or something like that. We have a government that needed the army, and they don't have any other solution because the civil security doesn't have the control for have the security for things like vaccine.
Right.
Yeah, it's a strange for us, but
So you're saying that the army is like slowly getting more and more power, and
more
more
power, more money, more responsibility. Yeah.
and the COVID vaccine distribution is now one of those elements, and it's something that makes people a little bit nervous, or at least makes them like
We don't feel
wonder.
nervous because we understand that the army are the only ones that can do
Mm-hmm.
it,
Got it.
because in Mexico we don't feel comfortable with the civil security.
I wanted to look into this a little more, and it looks like from a very quick and cursory search that the civil security that he's talking about is like a federal police force that was created under the current president Obrador in 2018.
Because we know that we have many problems of corruption
Mm-hmm.
and things like that, and criminal things. Yeah,
Yeah, got it.
yeah. But
Interesting.
it's an interesting thing that is happening now,
Yeah,
and that's as a result, the army is gonna
got it.
make the distribution. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And then I did remember I usually ask about testing availability and like, have you been tested? Did you have the option? Was it free? Was it expensive? What kind of testing options?
Nowadays, it's very interesting. Nowadays, the government, the Mexican city government, put so many points of quick exam for COVID, and they decide to put these points on popular points of movement, like on a big one, subway or train station and things like that. Yeah, but they decide to do this maybe on November. We
Oh,
don't have any kind of quick exams.
yeah. Yeah.
It's only until November to now. But and that happened only in Mexico City. The rest of the country, it's so different, so
Right.
different.
Right.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
been
There
one thing
are
that I like. I don't think I haven't talked to anyone that has as widespread testing as I feel like we have in the United States. Um, and when we talked at the beginning of the conversation about wondering about the numbers and feeling like they can't be right. And I see that and I'm like, well, yeah, if you're not testing like widely across the population, of course you're not going to know. And of course you have Trump who's like, so we should stop testing in America because it makes our numbers look bad to everyone. It's like, no, like I don't think we should stop testing in America, but like we
claro.
can understand that this data is not good. We're not comparing similar numbers, but that doesn't mean it's not important that we're finding out like who's turning up positive and everything. But yeah, that has been something that I've found interesting, that the testing has been for the most part not very widely available, at least not for free, basically anywhere else. So
Yeah. At the beginning of everything, maybe on April, May, June, that were the worst months for the first wave.
mm-hmm.
We are in the second one now, but in these months, there were a lot of cases where the people just called to the emergency lines, and the healthcare institutions just said the people stay at your home, make the quarantine and things like that. And many people died in their homes
Mm.
because when the people called maybe 5 years later or 3 days later, the people have these kind of problems for respirar,
Breathing.
for breathing, and the people can breathe. And nowadays we know that if
Mm-hmm.
you have a breathing problem, you are in a bad condition.
Yeah, yeah.
And many people, I think not only Mexico, maybe in the US happened, the same happened. Many people died in their homes
Yeah.
because, and if you think about it, it's sad, but it's also as a result that we don't have the quantity or the infrastructure for
Mm-hmm.
healthcare. It's so many
Yeah.
people every day. Yeah,
Yeah.
and I
And
think
it's
that on
sad.
January in Mexico are gonna be the same case.
Yeah. Yeah. It's sad if those people could have been saved in the hospital, but if they were maybe going to die in the hospital anyway, it was probably better for them and their families for them to die at home,
Yeah,
like because
yeah. Many
it's
people
so
decide
sad the
to
way
not
that
go to the hospital because they don't have to die alone and
yeah.
We have horror cases in the popular areas. For example, on Chiapas, people, indigenous people, that just fired up on a hospital. And on these months, or on the popular areas near to Mexico City, known for their violence, their quantity of criminal felonies and things like that. That are dangerous areas. We have some cases with the people, the family, the relatives, entered using the force to the hospital, fighting with the doctors, um, uh, and they just decide to go to the morgue, to the morgue.
The morgue, yeah.
The morgue, to open the black bag and to see and to be to confirm that the relative are die, and that was very unreal, like a horror story, because it's very dangerous for everybody to do that, because also the people that is already die can contagious another ones. We have a lot of horror stories, and also people that just escape to the hospital when the doctors told the man that were in the hospital that they're gonna be intubado.
Intubated.
Yeah. And I read
like,
that
nope.
one case of no, and the man just run away, and they suffer on him and a heart stroke.
Wow.
10 meters away. Yeah, a lot of cases.
Wow. Well, on that happy note, to end on such a high note, thank you so much. Muchas gracias for taking the...
I'm sorry about my English.
No, your English is great. I'm continually impressed by everyone around the world who can just speak such great English that I can call them up and do a podcast, and really hope that the situation improves and we can actually meet up in Mexico one day and go on that photo shoot.
Of course. I hope that you come. Mexico have a lot of beautiful places, and as a happy note, Mexico have many problems, but also have many opportunities, and it's a very beautiful country. We have many places that are amazing. And
all right, well, something to look forward to when the vaccine actually becomes available to us.
Yeah, maybe on 2022 or something like that. Maybe we can travel again, because there are many places to see. Ojalá. Yeah.
All right.
You know that word comes to Arab.
Yes, you were the one who told me that. You told me it one time when we were talking on Instagram. You told me that. You blew my mind.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's an amazing word. Okay.
All right. Thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of your day, and enjoy your Christmas season.
Yeah, you too.
All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, thanks again for tuning in. Please do check out Victor at VictorZPhoto or VictorZ_photo on Instagram. Check out the podcast at Corona Connects Pod on Instagram. Rate, review, subscribe. Thank you so much. See you next week.